Well guys, here we are, second episode of Season 6, this one titled Home. And before we jump into it, I want to say, last week I put the question to you guys, what nickname should we give for this new group of four? Brienne of Tarth, Sansa, Podrick, and Theon. And you guys did not disappoint, you came up with some hilarious names. Here are some of them. The top voted one by you guys was the Fellowship of the Reek. Very good, I like that. There was the Santastic Four, very clever, I love it. Brienne of Tarth and the Funky Bunch, awesome. The Awesome Northsome, that's a good one, that's very clever, I like that one. Sansa Squad, 1.5 Men. Yeah, just think about that one for a bit, 1.5 Men. The Fearsome Foursome, that's very appropriate, I like the Fearsome Foursome. Straight Out of Nowhere, and my personal favourite, Podrick and the Dickless 3. You guys are great, you really are, that's fantastic. But hey, the top voted one by you guys was Fellowship of the Reek, so that is the name for these guys that were not a group for very long, that were not a team for very long, as we see in episode 2 here. So as of last week, if you haven't seen episode 2 yet, we're going full spoilers, scene by scene, working our way through the whole episode so that we don't miss anything. So if you haven't seen it, come back and watch this after you have. Alright, let's jump in. Oh, before we do, there's actually 2 things in this episode that we don't get at all, and that's Danareus and her 2 boyfriends that are out looking for her. We don't get either of them, which is great, because I don't want to see any of them. That's just them looking for each other. We don't need to see that, but it follows on from what we said in last week's review, is that it took so long in that episode for them to get around to Danareus. The fact that she was so low on the list just goes to show she's not getting to King's Landing anytime soon. And it's kind of good. I'm glad she's not getting back to Slaver's Bay anytime soon. It doesn't look like she will be, because that gives Tyrion more time to sort out all the issues in Slaver's Bay. Alright, so first thing I did notice in this episode is this is the first time that the Iron Islands appear in the credits. I went back and checked episodes 1's intro just to make sure, and yeah, this is the first time we see Iron Islands, which is good from what I hear. There's a lot of storylines centered around the Iron Islands that has happened in the books up to now, but they haven't actually shown in the show yet. So this is good, we'll be able to get some more of it. But it begins with us checking back in with Bran Stark. Good old Bran Stark. I mean, he sat all of last season out, and you can see he's grown quite a lot. Those hormones are kicking in. He's growing up. He's turning into a young man. But we see him in a sort of Inception-style dream sequence where he's seeing his dad Ned as a child. And he's also, what's interesting in this vision we get here, is we also get to see Lyanna, Ned's sister Lyanna, which, if you're up to date with your Game of Thrones theories, in fact, this is probably an old theory, is that Lyanna is actually Jon Snow's mother, and that Ned Stark wasn't his father, it was actually his uncle, that Lyanna got pregnant to another guy, and Ned raised Jon pretending it was his bastard son, but it was actually his nephew. And yeah, apparently the rumor is that Lyanna got pregnant to a Targaryen. So Daenerys' older brother, I think it was, which would make Jon Snow actually a Targaryen as well. So we actually get to see her here. We see she's got the wolf blood kind of thing. She's kind of wild and feisty. We see a lot of that in Arya. Arya's a lot like her. But it was interesting to see that, and there's a line where she says to one of the kids, she's like, who are you going to spar with once Ned goes off to the Eyrie? And because, once Ned does go off to the Eyrie as a child, that's where he makes friends with Robert Baratheon and where their friendship begins. And we also got to see Hodor in this, and that he could actually talk and all that when he was a young kid. So I guess he must have maybe got hit in the head or something and suffered some kind of injury. That's why he can only say Hodor now. I don't know whether we'll cycle back to that or whatever, but it was interesting to see. But once Bran is pulled out of this dream, he has a conversation with, Hodor, of course, and all those around him. But it's interesting, he does say to that wildling woman that helped them out, her name I can't remember, she's basically a new character, so who cares. But he says the three-eyed raven said that there was a war was coming. And now it's interesting because it seems to me this whole thing with him being sort of taught by this tree guy is like, we already know he can do sort of like that, what's it called, the warg thing, where you can see through the eyes of animals and they can sort of see through those trees that have faces on them. So I guess once he fine-tunes his abilities, he'll sort of be able to see and hear everything all across Westeros. So if he's learning that because of this war that the three-eyed raven is talking about, we know of course the war is probably going to be the White Walkers attacking the wall. But yeah, I wonder how useful would that ability be in a war? I mean, you can't really fight a war with those abilities. You could certainly help with like information. He'd basically be like if they're fighting a war against the White Walkers, he could be like your satellite surveillance. He can tell you exactly where all the armies are, exactly what's going on, so you can plan your attack. So I guess that is actually really quite useful. But I also remember that Bran had a part where when he first met this dude, and he said, "Can you make me walk again?" And he said, "No, but you will fly." Makes me wonder if he will, maybe at some point he'll either be able to ride a dragon, or maybe he'll be able to use his power to like take control of a dragon so that he's basically flying as the dragon. Be interesting to see, or maybe it just means that he's flying around using birds or something. But either way, be interesting to find out, because I do have my own theory about who's going to ride the other two dragons that Danareus has, and I'm going to cover that when we get to it later in the episode. We then cycle back to Castle Black, where we've got Davos. See, I'm learning all the names again, as we all are, as the series goes. And Davos and the new Night's Watch commander is like, "Come on out, time's up." And there was a good line where he's like, "I've never been much of a fighter, so apologies for what you're about to see." And he draws a sword, but did you notice the sword he draws is actually Jon Snow's sword, the Valyrian steel sword? So I think that was a good sort of fake out where you think they actually are going to have a fight there, but of course they don't, because the wildlings bust in with the help of that giant, and the giant splats a guy against a wall, and the wildlings basically take over Castle Black now, which for all of these guys who killed Jon Snow, that's their absolute worst nightmare. But we know it's what needs to happen. They need to fortify the wall against the White Walkers, and the wildlings are the only ones who are sort of aware of that at the moment. None of these Night Watch guys seem to have a clue about it. But it's interesting because at that moment we see that young kid charge at the wildlings, and we know he has a lot of reason to charge at the wildlings, because back in last season, Jon Snow's girlfriend shot that kid's father through the head with an arrow, which is why that kid hates wildlings. So when the wildlings attacked Castle Black last time, it was that kid who shot her, so that kid got revenge for his father. And I found it interesting that after that, Jon Snow continued he would like mentor that kid, he would teach that kid, he taught him how to fight and all that sort of stuff. Even though that kid had killed the love of his life, he didn't hold it against that kid. So that went a long way towards Jon Snow's character, I think, that he didn't hold it against the kid for killing her. He didn't blame him for any of that. But we see this kid here, he still really, really hates wildlings. So we might need to keep an eye on him. He might do something stupid, which could maybe jeopardize the wall's defenses against the White Walkers because of his hate for the wildlings. So yeah, we should keep an eye on that kid. Next scene, we got a funny scene of this idiot in King's Landing bragging about Cersei doing her walk of shame, and ooh, she saw me and I flopped it out and she was licking her lips and all this kind of stuff. What an idiot, right? Anyway, everyone's laughing. He walks around the side to take a leak, and according to this picture, he wasn't lying about being blessed down south. You can kind of see the silhouette, just saying. But Zombie Mountain appears and does what the mountain does, which is smash heads, and he smashes this guy's head against the wall and heads on back to the palace, whatever it's called. And we see that he is now Cersei's like constant bodyguard, constant companion, I guess, except for when he's out crushing guys' heads for her, then he's not. But you see all the guards here show up and they stop Cersei from going into the Sept, because they say it's a king's orders, and we see that all the guards are really scared of Zombie Mountain, which they should be, because even just regular Mountain before it became Zombie Mountain was scary enough. Now this is Zombie Mountain, and it actually got me wondering, like, if there was a fight between these guys and the Mountain, they could probably surround him and stab him a few times, but can you even kill the Mountain? He's already come back from the dead. Like, if you stab him in the heart, would that even kill him? Would that even stop him? Probably not. So, really, you could just send the Mountain in to take out all the sparrows by himself, and he could. So anyway, well, I'm sure something like that will happen. But we then see the reason Tommen didn't want Cersei to go into the Sept is because the High Sparrow told Tommen not to let Cersei into the Sept. She's not allowed into the Sept, so that's why he blocked her. And he's there talking to Jaime about it, and we can see that he's done with this sulking phase. He's now wanting to sort of claw his way out of his sulkiness and actually stepping up and doing something. And this leads to a very, very interesting scene where the High Sparrow walks in. Jaime sends Tommen off, and Jaime's there. He's gearing up. He's about to stab him, and then all these sparrows surround him all around the Sept. Now, it's interesting because remember, Tommen didn't let Cersei into the Sept because the High Sparrow said she can't go into the Sept. So I assume then that all of these sparrows were hiding there in case she did go in. So if Tommen didn't stop Cersei, she would have gone in the Sept, all these sparrows would have killed her, right? And then the mountain would have been with her, and it would have been Jaime and the mountain versus all of the sparrows, which I would love to see, and we might still get to see that before this whole sparrow issue is dealt with. But it's interesting that the sparrows they have this much power. This is how broken the Lannister family is at this point, is that these sparrows can apparently just walk in to the palace. And this actually answers a question that was raised after that walk of shame, because I thought to myself, why is the High Sparrow letting her go? I mean, surely he knows that as soon as she gets back to the palace, she can just do what she wants again. She's not going to make herself available for the trial later on. Once she's there, she's there. But I guess this is why he let her go to the palace, because he knows he can reach her in the palace just as easily as he can if she's in a prison cell in his little fortress. So I guess that's why he let her go, because he knew he can get her anyway if he has to. But I like this moment here between Jaime and the High Sparrow, that after Jaime sort of decides not to kill him, just before the High Sparrow turns around to walk away, there's this look on his face, like it's like that mask of false humility. It slips away for just a second, and you get to see this look of arrogance from the High Sparrow as he turns around. He makes this noise, he's like like that kind of thing, and looks him up and down, and I was like, yeah, he's not really humble at all. It's all just an act with this guy. But he says, individually we're nothing, but all together we can topple an empire. It makes me wonder, is that what he wants? Does he want to topple the Lannister family and him become the king? Well, I mean, that seems to be all the fashion around Westeros and elsewhere now. Everyone's just knifing everybody else to take control. I mean, that is the Game of Thrones after all. But it'll be interesting to see what this guy's end game is, what it is that he's trying to do. Does he just want King's Landing? Does he want all of Westeros? Does he just want to teach the Lannisters a lesson? Be interesting to find out. But I did think, though, Jaime, from what we know of Jaime's character, I don't know why he wouldn't kill the High Sparrow here, even if he's outnumbered. Because from what we know of Jaime before, out of all the different Lannisters, he's the only Lannister that's not really interested in power. He's never really been interested in power. He's never really been interested in that game. He doesn't want to play it. He just wants to have a sword in his hand and fight with honor for something he believes in and die a warrior's death. That's all he wants. I'm thinking in the situation here he's in, he's fighting for his family, he's fighting with honor, and he gets to die an honorable death. That's all he wanted. So it makes sense, like, to me, that his character would want to fight, would want to die in this way. That's what he wants. That's what Jaime wants. But I guess you can't kill Jaime in that way. Or if you do, you have to save it as a climax of an episode or something like that. So poor old Jaime, who knows what's going to happen now? Because following on from this, Tommen's now talking to Cersei, saying kind of the same thing that he said to Joffrey, but he's basically saying, I want to be strong now. I want to be a leader. I just don't know what to do. You have to help me. And she's like, of course I will. And on the surface, that's great, because Tommen does need to toughen up. He does need to be a leader. Unfortunately, the person he's relying on to teach him how to be a leader is Cersei, who has ruined everything, whose all of her schemes mess up. The whole reason she had to take the walk of shame is because she started this whole thing with the sparrows. She used them to try to take out Marjorie, her opposition, and it backfired on her, and she had to do the walk of shame. All of her plans always fail, and if she's advising Tommen on how to be a king, that's the worst thing that could possibly happen. And remember, we talked last week that the prophecy that all three of her kids will die. Tommen's the only one. He's going to die soon. So I can't wait to see whatever scheme she tries to tell him to do to take out the sparrows, and for it to backfire and him to die as a result, because we know he's going to die. And Cersei, all of her plans fail. We love Jaime, but unfortunately he's not a leader. He can't teach Tommen anything, and there's nobody around that can teach him how to be a responsible leader. Maybe his uncle, but he's not around. We haven't seen him since the season started. Jumping across the ocean in the next scene, all the way over to Slaver's Bay, we see the coolest characters in the show, Tywin and Lord Varys. That's right, let me check. Lord Varys, yes. I am learning the names now that the show's back on. Okay, so we see Tyrion and Lord Varys, and in a line that you might have missed, Lord Varys says, outside of Meereen, Slaver's Bay has returned back to the slavers. So they're slowly losing control of their territory. Inside the walls of the city, they now control that, but outside of that is gone back to the slavers again. The slavers are controlling it. So when Daenerys is away, they're slowly losing their power base. It's eroding away. And Tyrion basically says, well, we got our dragons. We need to get them out of there because they're just going to waste away and they're no use to us there. This follows along with what he said with Daenerys back in the last season, where I can't remember the exact words he used, but he basically told her, he's like, look, anyone can have an army, but but you have an army and dragons. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you special. The dragons are your trump card to whatever opposition you're facing. You need to use them. And we see he's doing this here. You gotta free the dragons. You gotta make use of them. Otherwise, what's the point in even having them? So this leads to the coolest scene in the entire show. And we see Tyrion doing his work, winning over these dragons. Now, I'm going to link you to a video right here. I'll put a card right there in the top right corner of the video. It's a video on a different channel where it's talking about Tyrion's genius is how he can sum up a person and right away he can figure out what they want, and he can sort of change his tactic and the way that he speaks to them to relate to what it is they want, whether it's money, whether it's honor, whatever it is. He knows what it is. And it's a great video. Check it out. Obviously, wait till the end of this one before you watch it. Check that out. But we can see that in this scene, even with these dragons, he does that. Even with these dragons, he does that. Because you might think, like, he walks in there and he's like, oh, I'm a friend. I'm here to help you. Don't eat the help, which is a good line. Very Tyrion-like. But then he tells this story about, like, when he was a little kid, he wanted to have a dragon as a pet, and everybody laughed at him and he was all sad and he cried himself to sleep. Now, you hear that and you go, oh, he's just telling a story about how he wanted to have a pet dragon. No. This is what Tyrion does. That is a carefully crafted story to appeal to these dragons, because he said dragons are very intelligent. Some people think they're even more intelligent than humans, so he knows they can understand this. And as we see from the way they act, they do understand what he's talking about. So what is he doing? Why is he telling them this story? Well, when you look at it, the story he's telling them is, my family didn't understand me. They didn't understand what I wanted, and I cried myself to sleep. That's basically what's happened to these dragons. Their mother, Danareus, didn't understand them, didn't understand what they want, locked them up, and as they said, the dragons haven't been eating, so the dragons have been crying themselves to sleep. So he's basically telling them this story to say, like, I understand where you're coming from. I'm like you. I understand you, and that's why I'm going to set you free. Please don't eat me. So he's creating that bond of that, these dragons are basically little kids, like little kids, maybe teenagers. So he's relating to them with this story. This is what's so great about Tyrion, the way he does this. And he takes off their shackles and leaves, and I guess they leave the door of the cave open. They don't really show, like, him and Varys, they just sort of walk out. We don't see them lock it up again, so I guess the dragons are free now. I mean, would have been good if you see them fly out or something. But this is really good, because going back to what I said earlier in this episode, this review, there's 3 dragons. And if each of those dragons is going to bond with a different person, Danareus has already bonded with the other one. What's it called? Dragon or Dragon or whatever. She's bonded with that other one. These other 2, who are they going to bond with? Who's going to eventually ride these? I believe Danareus is going to ride one, Tyrion is going to ride the second one, and the third one's going to be ridden by Jon Snow. Or maybe Bran, because there was that thing, you will fly, so maybe it will be him. But yeah, that's who I think. I think we're going to see the beginning of, like, Tyrion forming a bond with one of these dragons. Probably the second one he unchained, because that was the one that sort of came out at him first and then decided not to burn him. And then after he freed the first one, it looked at him and then sort of turned its head so that he could unlock it. So I think there was more of a connection between Tyrion and that one. So I'd love it if by the time Danareus gets back to Slaver's Bay, there's Tyrion there. He's got, hey, I've got my dragon now. He really likes me, That'd be awesome. And I would love to see Tyrion flying back to King's Landing on a dragon and, like, burning Cersei, from the air. That'd be awesome. So that's my question for you guys this week. Like last week, we were talking about what name can we have for this fearsome foursome, this Sansa squad. So that's my question for you guys this week. Who do you think will eventually ride the other 2 dragons? Assuming that they bond with a certain individual. So Daenerys is riding one. Who's going to ride the other 2? Do you think it will be Tyrion and Jon Snow? Do you think it will be Bran and Jon Snow? Maybe somebody else? Put your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think will ride the other dragon? Then we head over to continue the hilarious scene from last week with blind Arya getting absolutely pummeled by the ninja faceless chick, and keeps asking her, what's your name? And she says, I'm no one. She's like, I don't believe you because you don't believe that, and beats her up even more until what's her name shows up. Yes, I know, I haven't learned his name yet, but the Volumagulus guy. Anyway, so he shows up, and Well, we all saw the show. We know what happens. He basically asks her, what is your name? She says, I'm no one. And he says, all right, fine. Takes her back, and she's going to get back to her training as a faceless chick. But I think this is good. She's been able to spend that time as a blind chick. She's been able to sort of heighten her hearing a bit. Because remember in last episode, she'd hear the conversations going on around her. So that's a skill she can carry over in being a faceless woman or faceless girl or whatever. So yeah, I'm glad that Ari is back on track and that she can get some of those ninja skills down so that she can get to crossing more names off her list. I really want to see that. But then back with those crafty old Boltons. Oh, these Boltons. Man, you kidding me? These Boltons. Okay, we cut in with them with Ramsay basically saying, we know where Sansa's going. She's going to be going to the wall because she knows Jon Snow's there and she wants protection there. So Ramsay was basically saying, look, if we know that's where she's going, why are we bothering to chase her? Let's just go to where we know she's going to be. Let's just go to the wall, bust in, kill Jon Snow, take away our reason for going there. And I got to say, that's kind of a good plan. Yeah, if you know that's where she's going, then yeah, go in there and kill Jon Snow. His dad doesn't like this. He's like, you'll unite all of the North against us. Ramsay's like, who cares? They're not going to rise up against us. We already got the numbers we need. Which again is kind of another good point. It's like with the Red Wedding. That was an outrage. Yeah, killing everyone at the wedding, but it didn't matter because the Lannisters had the power at the time, so nobody could do anything about it. Kind of the same thing here. So I hate to say it, but Ramsay was actually kind of right, and his dad doesn't like that idea. But that scene is quickly interrupted with the dude walking in and saying, Lord Bolton, you've had a son, and he's healthy. And then this happened.
I look forward to meeting my new brother.
Oh, he is so going to kill that baby now.
You'll always be my firstborn.
This could really complicate things in the Bolton family.
It means a great deal to me.
You know, he does cut... Oh! Oh, come on. Really? I was just about to say... he kind of has like a weird influence over Ramsay, and then boom, knife right in the heart. Wow. Okay, we've just done a Dawn again. Oh boy, I hope that fat lady runs away with that baby real soon, because they're not long for this world. Yeah, man, it's like, so far the first two episodes, these are the episodes of people getting overthrown. We've got, you know, the leadership in Dawn getting overthrown. Now we've got the leadership in with the Boltons getting overthrown. We've got the Sparrows saying that they can overthrow an empire. We've got Daenerys' empire in Slavers Bay. That's slowly being overthrown by the slavers coming back to power. You know, there's another scene soon coming up that's going to be another overthrow. This is the season of people getting knifed and like bloody, violent coups taking over everything. So, and in a way, again, that's just part of the Game of Thrones. But yeah, it's only episode 2 and there's already been so many of these. I mean, you know, pretty soon, who's going to be the next one to get knifed and overthrown? I don't know, who could it be? There's nobody left, really. But in the scene where Ramsay sets the dogs on the fat lady and his little baby brother, I was thinking about, I was like, as that scene was happening, I was trying to do a Tyrion. I was like, what could you possibly say that would change this guy's mind? Like, what could you do? I was trying to do a Tyrion, and I was like, well, you know, obviously you can't appeal to his good nature because he doesn't have any, you know, pleading isn't going to work. So I thought, I guess really the only kind of thing you could do was maybe say something like, hey, if you're Lord Bolton now, you need an heir, you don't have one yet. This guy is your baby brother, so maybe keeping him around as a backup until you have an heir of your own, that would make sense. He's more used to you alive that way. That way you at least have an heir until you have like a proper one. You know, kill me if you want, but the baby can still be useful to you. Like that maybe might work. Maybe. It's worth a shot. Anyway. But who knows? This is Ramsay Bolton. Nobody knows what he's like. Nobody knows how to get through to this guy. But yeah, maybe should have taken a shot, fat lady. You know, just pleading's not going to work. You should know that with Ramsay at this point. Or better yet, don't go in there. Or say the baby's actually a girl. Something. You know, try something else. But anyway, yep. So now Ramsay Bolton is in charge, and it looks like he's going to head straight to Castle Black now to try to take out Jon Snow, which he doesn't know is dead. Or is he? We'll get to that. So we then cut to Brienne and the Funky Bunch, the Fantastic Four, the 1.5 men team, which, despite all the effort we went to of naming these guys, it seems they're immediately broken up. Because after Brienne is done telling Sansa about Arya and all that sort of stuff that we saw in last few seasons ago, Theon basically announces that he's going to go. He's leaving. He's like, I was going to get you to the wall, but now they can look after you far better than I can, so I'm going to take off because I don't want to go to the wall because Jon Snow will kill me, and I don't want to go back to Winterfell because, Ramsay won't kill me, and that's worse than being killed by Ramsay. So he says, can I take a horse? She says, where are you going to go? He says, I'm going home. And it's implied that by home he means the Iron Islands, because the very next thing we see, it cuts straight to the Iron Islands after he says that. I don't know, Theon. I don't know if the Iron Islands is really a good bet for you. I mean, you weren't accepted by the Iron Islands even when you were a whole man. Now you've had all kinds of bits and pieces cut off. Do you think they're going to accept you now? They'd be even less inclined to accept you, wouldn't they? I mean, I don't like your chances if you head down to King's Landing either, so maybe you should just do an Arya. Maybe you should just leave Westeros altogether. Go to Dawn, the free cities of Dawn. They don't care what's happening. They accept everybody. You go there. I don't think he's going to last in the Iron Islands, poor old Theon. I mean, we know his sister looks after him, but there's better options for you out there, Theon. As Tyrion said, there's much more to the world than just Westeros. Jump a boat, that's all I'm saying. So then as we do cut over to the Iron Islands, we get to see that the Iron Islands, the Ironborn, they are not doing well at all. We've got Theon's sister talking to his dad, talking about all the sections of land that they've taken, they've been slowly losing. And look, these guys, we haven't seen much of them in the show. I'm sure people who've read the books know a lot more, but from what we've seen in the show, these guys look like a bunch of losers. They're always talking about what is dead may never die, and they're always talking a big game, but they don't seem to back it up. The whole reason that Theon was raised by the Starks was because his dad tried to rebel against the North. He lost, and part of his surrender was handing over Theon as like spoils of war, which is part of the reason why he despised Theon, because he reminds him of his failure. And it seems like they continue to fail to this day. Like all the different lands that they get, they can't hold for very long. They seem pretty useless. Pretty useless. And like, I like the point that Theon's sister here makes. She's like, look, on the oceans, we can beat anyone. We just don't know how to fight on land. So why don't we just stick to what we know, which is on the oceans, and then over time, as we get better, we can focus on the lands. Makes a lot of sense. But of course, her dad's a total idiot, which is made clear in this scene. He's like, you'll just do what I say. You're going to keep doing what doesn't work until there's nobody left. And he walks out, and I like this scene. There's a few like cool imagery where when he walks out onto that rail and he sees his long-lost brother appears. Did you notice how the king, when he's walking across this swinging bridge thing, like he's clinging onto the rail, he's like staggering because it's swaying all over the place. But then when you see the guy on the other side, he's not holding onto the ropes, he's just standing there and he's like a rock. Even though it's swinging around all over the place, he's not moving because he's got his sea legs. They call it sea legs. Boats move around it, you can manage yourself. So the king doesn't have his sea legs anymore. He's been on land too long, he's grown soft. This other guy, he's got his sea legs. He's like a rock standing there. He's not shook at all. And I thought that was really good sort of symbolism of like, the new overtaking the old. Another coup. What is that, like the 7th or something in the episode 2? And he's like, I thought you went crazy. And he's like, yeah, I did. I thought you were dead. Yeah, I did. And then he's like, you're in the way, and throws him over the side. And then apparently disappears because he's not there for the funeral or anything. So glad this guy's dead. Glad we got hopefully a better leader who hopefully will treat Theon a bit nicer. Hopefully. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens. But Theon's sister is like, I'm going to take over the Salt Throne now. And the guy's like, no, you're not. So who knows? He did say you have to be chosen by the moot or something, like some kind of council, I guess they have, who determines the next king. So it might actually be her versus the king's brother for which one is going to be ruling the Iron Islands. So we'll have to keep track on that and see what's going on. But then, final scene in the episode is what we've been waiting for since final episode of last season, which is the resurrection of Jon Snow. Lord Davos, he walks in and he's like, look, Red Priestess, can you bring him back to life? She's like, maybe, but I've never done it before. He's like, well, just give it a shot. And she does, and it seemingly doesn't work. She walks out, and then Jon Snow springs back to life. Thank goodness. We all knew he'd come back. And it's great because, now that Ramsay Bolton is coming to kill Jon Snow, he's come back to life so he can be killed again by Ramsay, I guess. But there is going to be a showdown between Jon Snow and Ramsay. We know that. We talked about that last week. I liked this scene. I liked how they did the foreshadowing with the wolf that's asleep, and then the wolf kind of wakes up, sort of showing, because there's always that connection between the Starks and their direwolves, isn't there? And the only thing I would have liked was a bit of maybe when she's saying the words, maybe the fireplace flares up just a little bit. So everyone's like, ooh, the fire god's coming, and then it can die down. But I think the foreshadowing was good enough with the wolf. That's all fine. But it's interesting because I remember last time we saw something like this in the previous couple of seasons ago with the Brothers Without Banners, that Robin Hood sort of group, is the guy who did that, he said that he didn't really believe in his religion. He'd sort of lost faith. He was just a drunkard. But when his friend got struck down, he just grabbed him and said the words just out of desperation. He wanted his friend back, and it worked. So it was interesting that guy, he was able to do this when his faith was at its lowest point, but just out of desperation. And we see with the Red Priestess here, kind of the same thing. Her faith was at the lowest point. She's like, it's all a lie. But she did it just kind of out of desperation. There's one point where she even says, please. She just wants it to work. And it does. So I guess the fire god is a trickster. He just likes messing with people. So there we have it, guys. Episode 2 of Season 6. I really loved it. Really looking forward to seeing what happens. I especially want to see Tyrion get that dragon, make friends with it, fly it around, and take out Slaver's Bay. That's probably the biggest thing I'm looking forward to. I want to see Tyrion take out Slaver's Bay, and I want to see those sparrows get what's coming to them. That dude, he's just so righteous, and it's all fake. It's just, I mean, I don't like Cersei, but I do want to see Zombie Mountain just cutting through all those sparrows like butter. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. So many heads popping everywhere. All right, so guys, put your comments below, your theories and your hopes for who will ride the other two dragons alongside Danareus. And next week, I will see you guys then. And if you haven't seen my previous review of last week's episode, you can click right here. I'm Bandit. This is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I'll see you guys in the comments. Tarkin stands in the hangar of his Star Destroyer, watching as a column of TIE fighters approach.
It looks like the Chancellor's man is here.
The lead ship flies in first and touches down ahead of the others. As the engine slows to a stop, the walkway opens, and footsteps echo down the hallway inside the ship.